Hello, and welcome to Coca-Cola of Northern New England's Glass Education Program. Today you're going to learn why glass is a very challenging material to deal with. Glass is one of the oldest and used to be one of the most popular types of material used for containers. It has been around since 1500 BC. It wasn't until 1907, when plastic was invented, that glass began phasing out. World War II brought a great increase in plastic, almost 300%. This was due to the high demand for resources. Even after the war, companies realized all the benefits of plastic containers and started switching from glass to plastic. Today, you don't see many beverages in glass containers. CCNNE only ships about 1% of their beverages in glass containers. Because of all the issues associated with glass, it is already starting to be phased out. Beer and wine are some of the only industries that still use glass. Beer has successfully switched to aluminum cans. Wine has been starting to switch to boxes or plastic containers. You will soon start to see less and less glass beer or wine containers and more aluminum, plastic, and boxed containers. There are many characteristics of plastic that make it a much easier material to deal with than glass. Glass is much heavier than plastic, which makes shipping glass very inefficient. Plastic does not break nearly as easily as glass does, and if glass breaks, goods could be damaged. Recycling glass is very energy intensive. Plastic takes up a lot less space in landfills than glass does. Plastic is safer and easier to stack than glass. One of the issues with glass is how easily it breaks. If glass breaks in your recycling bin, it could contaminate the other materials that are being recycled. Once your recycling bin reaches a recycling facility, the materials get separated into categories, such as cardboard, aluminum, or plastic, and then they get baled up. The pictures below are an example of a cardboard, aluminum, and plastic bale. If a small piece of broken glass accidentally gets into one of these bales, then those bales might have to be thrown away.
Because of this issue, glass is one of the first things that gets removed from a recycling stream once it reaches the facility. Most of that glass that's collected ends up in a landfill. Since glass is so heavy, shipping it on trucks makes it very challenging. You can ship the same amount of plastic than glass using a lot less trucking. For example, it takes 27 pounds of glass versus 2 pounds of plastic to deliver the same amount of beverage.
Say you wanted to ship glass bottles. You could only ship 1,200 cases of glass bottles before your truck was considered overweight, and the truck would only be filled up about halfway. However, you could do the same thing with plastic cases, and you would be able to ship 2,200 cases, and you wouldn't be overweight, and your truck would be filled up all the way. Plastic is better for the environment than glass. Plastics create 23% less air pollutants than glass. Making plastic requires 42% less energy than making glass. Plastics emit 32% less greenhouse gases than glass. Even though virgin plastic is sourced from petroleum, the environmental impact of plastic is far less than that of glass. That is due to the enormous amount of energy required to make glass. Making glass involves baking it at temperatures up to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. There are even more furnaces and ovens involved before the glass is cooled. All that heat requires an enormous amount of energy. It is estimated that for 1 ton of glass made, including transportation, 2 tons of CO2 is emitted as greenhouse gases. Glass is a nice material to have for more premium products, such as wine or beer, but those are slowly beginning to fade out, and more companies are starting to switch to plastic containers for all of the transportation, environmental, safety, and shelf space benefits. Instead of throwing your glass bottles or jars in the trash or recycling bin when you're done with them, you should try to find creative ways to use them around your house. If you're not the artistic type, you could still reuse glass jars to hold food or other items. Thank you for listening, and we hope you learned a lot about recycling and sustainability. The following sources were used for photos and information in this video.